What it do, y'all? It's your boy King Crowder checking back in with another edition of history that we might not know that we should add to our collection. Today's lesson will be on the 3 Seminole Wars. This overview will be on what the Seminole Wars were, what happened, what time period, and details on how the war affected America post our society. The first Seminole War started when the Spanish was starting to allow the formerly enslaved in Mississippi, Georgia, Alabama to come to Spain. Spain at the time was still owned by the Spaniards of Florida. The reason why this became such a big deal is because a lot of escapees left the slave states running south. Most people do not know that there was actually an underground railroad moving south towards Florida. We always hear about the one being promoted towards the north. We never hear about the underground railroad moving southward. And that's how a lot of those in the South escaped their freedom. This started the first war because the Spaniards and the United States began to battle more because the United States said, hey, y'all were letting all of our enslaved blacks come into y'all land for free, leaving people that were, economic resources at the time. So the Spaniards and the United States began to roughly fight for roughly a year, and a settlement and agreement came about. Due to this treaty, it was called the Am Treaty of 1819. This war was brief. It was a brief battle by saying, hey, we all need to stop this. And the Spaniards came to an agreement allowing the U.S. to purchase what's then known as Florida, the Spanish colony. The Second World War started because literally they were trying to get the Indians of the time in that area that lived in the Everglades and other parts of Florida to move to the free territory of Oklahoma. At this time, the Seminoles and the Indians in that area did not want to leave their reservation and land. They refused to. What made this situation such a big deal is because this war went on for roughly 5 to 6 years, and the Seminole Indians were beating the U.S. military. The reason why they were defeating the U.S. military is because they knew the guerrilla warfare tactics. The natives knew how to live off the land, and the U.S. government could not beat them. These U.S. military forces were getting killed and murdered by the Indians in that town. The Native Americans in that area literally were killing and destroying the U.S. military. The U.S. military, along with President Andrew Jackson, knew that they were suffering and had to sign an agreement because they couldn't beat them. They were saying, man, these natives know how to live off the land. They know how to grow their fruit. They knew how to do everything. So every tactic they were using, they were losing. So you have to understand, y'all, they were trying to come down here to tell these people they got to leave, and they were defeating them. The U.S. military was pulling so many dirty tactics and tricks at the time that they could not be stopped to these Native Americans in the area. What they had to do during the Second World War was kind of a dirty play, even among warfare. They waved the white flag for neutrality and saying that they wanted to have a peaceful talks. And when they did that, they captured some natives. Now, when they captured these natives, you have to understand that's when the story that I previously mentioned that John Horse came back around. That's when John Horse came back and wanted his people free. These soldiers and other leaders at the time literally had to come into agreement by telling the U.S. military, hey, we will stop fighting you guys, but we're going to burn every plantation down here. We're going to kill any civilization that wants to challenge us or those people living in the Everglades. You began to hear this talking, this speaking, being promoted because they understood we can't stop these brothers. So let's have a mutual agreement to give them a certain amount of land and let's leave them alone. The U.S. then had the Third Seminole War, which we reneged on. We had that agreement that we was going to let them live. Those who wanted to resettle to Oklahoma decided to do so, which formerly known as the Trail of Tears. But we had a lot of them that refused to. And those natives that refused to do so began to get surrounded by white Americans in that area. With the white Americans seeing that these people that lived in these lands, these still Seminoles, could not be touched, war ensued. So we had another war that was began brewing 3 years roughly in the southwest parts of Florida. The Everglade natives in this land literally could not be stopped. All of the military forces, all of the tensions, all the battles, we finally had to just resort to leaving these natives alone. They were that bad. Literally, a lot of the families did leave and can agree to go to the Oklahoma reservation that was free land and free opportunity to them. But we still had pockets that refused and still live in that part of Florida to this day. If you ever wonder why you see some down there that are native blacks that are in Florida, they don't mess with them. We all know these are trained fighters, shooters, and these people will not leave their land for nothing. They believe how they need to believe and how they need to live. I think this story is so impactful because it breaks down the resilience that some of the Black Americans at that time had, how they believe that they're not going to leave my land. This is where I'm from, this is where I'm raised, and I'm going to fight for it. The reason why this is a significant historical moment, because it breaks down that the U.S. military did try to be peaceful, then they tried to take, and then they tried to swindle. At this time, it showed that we moved wrongly. We was not prepared for those forces to respond and kill us the way we did. What the genius lessons we learned at that time is that we got to leave well enough alone. At that time, the Seminole Indians, that did not want to leave, we have to learn that we cannot win in a contact and a battle with some of them. We decided at this time that our last agreement was going to be our final agreement. And until this very day, in central parts and northern part of Florida, you have a lot of Black Americans that reside there who still do not have a certain feeling towards the government, who still have the freedom, the ideology, and the way they think. And these free Native Americans still live the way they want to live in certain land. The Everglades parts of Florida has a beautiful history and a beautiful land that I will discuss later on. But I definitely think the Seminole Wars should be looked into with great detail. And we all should learn about how the Seminole Indians were the truth. The Black Seminole Indians, to be specific. This is your boy King Crowder checking back out again with another historical documented information I think we all should learn from. I just want you guys to like my channel, subscribe, comment, any video that you like the direction I'm going. Please let me know what your feedback is and I will get back with you as soon as possible. Peace.